All right, and we're live in three, two, and welcome everybody. Hey, don't laugh at my intro. I take the I take this show real serious.
I do too.
We're live right now with the fantastic Sangeeta Kaur. Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi. So good to be
Wow.
here, Rob.
Yeah, nice to see you. I haven't had you on for gosh, I think it's been about 2 years, and you and
Yeah.
Danae won the big Grammy
Yes.
for Mythologies. Yay,
Thank
congratulations on that.
you.
Yeah, you got to tell Danae I said hi when you see her. She's
It was her birthday yesterday.
oh my God, I'm gonna have to bother her.
Yeah, you're gonna have to bother her.
I'm gonna have to say, for your birthday, we're gonna donate all your cats to
Oh
shelter.
my God. It's gonna come to Auntie Sangeeta's house then.
Oh, Auntie Sangeeta, yeah, definitely, because you know how people love their cats. Well, you've got a brand new album out after
Yes.
winning that Grammy, and man, just watching you on Facebook and the events in your life. Since we talked, you did a great PBS special. Then you did that album with Danae, and now you've got a new album, solo album out on your own called Aurora. So tell everybody about your new album.
Yeah, so Aurora, so after winning the Grammy that year in 2021, we all kind of just took 1 year off, and I have not done that in a long time. And so I was really missing, I knew that I had to put out a new album and just share more music. So that just released this last July 21st.
Okay.
And I don't, I don't know. Sometimes I don't really think about, okay, what is the storyline? What is the concept? And I just sometimes just like to sit and see what comes because we're changing constantly. New messages, new downloads are coming all the time. And so we might think it's one thing one day, and then it's a completely different thing the next day. So what started to just sort of flow through was so much of the cosmic energy. I love astrology. It's really part of my thing. And so I feel like that year, that time, astrologically, the cosmos were speaking to me. And so whether the songs were about the cosmos themselves, or it was a love story that was an influence of the cosmic energy, or an old story that talks about cosmic love, that one of the songs is actually about that. It's a cosmic love that we were born from, so it kind of goes into, it's like the personality of the cosmos in a way. And so every song was somehow interlaced with that storyline. And so at the end, when I was thinking, what is the album title?
Hmm.
And so I'm like, well, I feel like it should be a culmination of this entire album. And we know that the aurora borealis is born of actually a very violent phenomena in the universe, in space, and borns this beautiful thing, this beautiful sight. And so it's part of the teaching, I feel like, as well, is sometimes the ugliest things, the worst things, the scariest things, the most beautiful things can be born from that if we can be open and listen to the message and the teachings. And so the Aurora felt like it was like the perfect balance and name for this entire album. And it's just such a dynamic and big changes in personality. And so I felt like this is really that album. It
Hmm.
really is an Aurora.
I was listening to the album because before guests come on, I do what a lot of people don't do, which is to actually listen to the
Oh,
music
goodness.
of the.
We always think you're listening. Oh, now I know. Kidding.
I did an interview a few months ago with somebody who obviously was completely unprepared to talk to me. I'm like, "Oh, so you play the piano?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, kind of."
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, did you do any albums?" Yeah, 43.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Which one is your favorite? And it was just like,
Oh, no.
was
Oh.
the questions were so bad.
Oh,
I was
no. See
like,
that
I
last
think
5 minutes?
I think I hear a dog barking. I'm gonna have to end the.
It lasted 2 minutes, not even 5 minutes.
Yeah, but you know what? My two favorite songs on the album are the opener, which is called All Love. And
Yeah.
the lyrics to that song, in fact, I hope, what is it, the lyric versions of
Hmm.
your music gets done, because I know you have a lot of fans around the world that will probably publish them and make their own like karaoke's of you. And is there a animated Sangeeta cartoon in Hanoi yet? Because,
No, do you want to help me with that?
yeah, yeah,
Oh my God.
absolutely. That would be totally
Actually,
great.
wait, okay, I'm gonna spill the beans a little bit. I guess it's completely, but I mean, it's in aligned with what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about. When we were writing this album in the studio, I forget which song it was, and we decided this one, we're like visualizing a music video that is so simple. And it's basically a video of all of us who created the album in stick figures.
Oh,
And everyone's personality coming through in these stick figures. And I promise you, we're going to do it.
wow. And that reminds me of my good buddy David Brunt, who has a production
Oh,
company
yeah. Oh,
called
stick figure. Yeah,
Big
of course.
Figure Productions.
Yeah,
And
you're
he's got a
right.
big show coming up right
He
after
does.
yours on the 23rd with Opium
Opium
Moon.
Moon.
Well,
Yeah, he's
what,
a busy guy.
what, rather than, I don't want to, I know you've heard this music a million times, but there is something about those lyrics that really touched me because I could kind of feel that energy. And those of us that are creative types, I mean, I don't know about you, but for my childhood, my dad was just like, something's wrong with our son. You know, he's always dreaming, he's always off in space, and he needs to be like learning to use a lawnmower. And my mother was
Exactly.
like, leave him alone with his thoughts and his dreams. I mean, were you that kind of
Yeah,
a child? Did you have these visionary things?
I was very much that kind of child. I wish I can also say that I was like not so rebellious, but I definitely, as a child, there was so much creative energy. And also, I think I was a very open child to like connection to spirit and connection to just higher source. And I didn't know it actually. Like, I think back at it now and I realize what was going on with me. And I always felt weird. Like, why am I here on this planet? Like, I felt so disconnected and I
Right.
never understood why. I always felt really different and not, and because you're so young, different doesn't always mean better. At least
Oh,
in our eyes as children, we're like, I'm different, I'm weird. Oh no, this is not good. But now that of course I'm older, I'm like, I think it was the most amazing thing to be weird and to really embrace the difference. And I wish growing up I had more people telling me it's okay to be different and to see the magic that comes through our eyes and our soul and to embrace that and nurture that. And I think we just need to do that more with our youngins on this planet. It's
boy,
important.
I couldn't agree more. And today, in the confusion of, young people trying to just get their footing on the planet. And, for me, it was just like, I don't want to get my feet on the planet. I want to leave.
Yes,
I
exactly.
want
Because
to leave this planet.
it doesn't feel safe. It didn't feel comforting and nurturing, and not for everybody. Some people had beautiful experiences, and for me, I felt like my words need to come through, and I didn't know how to express things. And
Mm.
I took violin, I was singing all the time, and I realized singing was my way of expression since I was very little, you know.
Yeah, when you find whatever your voice is, I mean, for me
Yeah,
it was drums and piano and really the instrumental thing, but you can feel the energy coming through at special times. And as a music teacher, I'm always telling my students that kind of stuff too, because they're like, well, I've been working on this Bill Evans piece for a year and nothing's happening. And I say, you have to put in the work.
yeah,
You have to put in the time, and then at some point it just kind of clicks on. And for
yeah,
me, unfortunately, it's usually around 3 in the morning.
yep.
Everybody's asleep, and I'm gonna, cause a scene.
You're gonna wake everybody up.
Wake everybody up. There's gonna be commotion, but I try and just, write everything down. Now with our
Yeah,
technology, we can just like, do you ever sing into your
always,
phone? Really?
always. When I'm in the car driving, I think the time when the most creative ideas come is when I'm alone, when there's nothing, and this is very rare, like when there's nothing going on and there's no commotion. And so having such a busy life as an artist and just as a person, a family person, I have to make that time. Like I really have to get away, stay quiet, like completely shut my phone off, close the computer, not take calls, because the best times is when space is empty and open. And then all of a sudden it's not anymore. Because all these ideas are starting to come through, projects, productions, music, songs. It's like, but it's so exhilarating. That's actually, I think, what most humans want to experience, is this creative connection. Whether you think you're a creator or a creative or not, we all are. We're all creative beings.
Right.
Everything we do it comes from the creative mind, you know.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And, when you get ready to take a wonderful album like this, I'd say this album is kind of more cinematic and astral than your last stuff. But when you get ready to do something like this show you have coming up, which is going to be at the Grammy Museum rooftop on
Yes.
September the 20th, do you have to rehearse with your band and get everybody ready to be on the roof? And do you, because in rehearsals, as a jazz musician, mostly in my career, we're just talking about the chord changes and the feel, who's going to take a solo, when and where. But how are your rehearsals different since you're doing this totally new kind of music?
Yeah, I mean, that's like, it always is a little bit scary at first, especially the fact that our album just released July 21st, and here we are doing these two big shows with the entire album.
Right.
But fortunately, and I'm just so blessed and grateful, is I would say 90% of the musicians and artists that recorded on the album are performing live with
Oh,
me.
that's so great.
So it's not
Great.
like it's unfamiliar music, and they're so amazing that they don't need a gazillion rehearsals. We get in there, everyone's so professional and so good at what they do, so talented. And we get in there, I have an amazing team, Dewey Tran, who prepares all the charts for all of the musicians, changes everything. Gerhard Yost, who's been my longtime engineer, he makes sure if we need stems, he's stemming out everything. I mean, we have such a great family, and every day I just think, what is this life? And look at the beautiful people in my life. And they've been so supportive. So our rehearsals are actually so much fun. Like we get to revisit the music and do it live in one room. And we usually just get it within one or two rehearsals
Uh,
outside of the performance space. And we know that as long as the music is down, we get in the performance space and we have a great, monitor engineer, great engineer. We know exactly, I usually have my own sound equipment set up the way we like it,
mm.
and make sure that it's enveloping and that people will have a really great experience and listening experience. And as long as all that's there when we show up to the venue, we're good. I mean, knock on wood, because anything can happen, but
Well,
yeah, you never know.
I
But
was,
I feel so supported by all of these beautiful friends and musicians, and
well,
it's
you're,
wonderful.
one thing that maybe the average person doesn't realize when they're watching like a spectacular, because your stuff has always got that like extra special kind of spectacular element to it, is that it does take a lot of crew. It does take a lot of support. It
But
does take, it's just like when I was a kid, this is a dumb story, but I haven't told one yet in this interview. So we used to go to Disneyland, and there would be Tinkerbell would come off the Matterhorn mountain, and it would be
yeah,
this amazing thing in a fanfare, and she would go zoom, and she would fly through the air and then disappear, and then they play this magic music. But years later, I was playing in a band that was right at Disneyland, right by the Tinkerbell landing area.
Amazing.
So we were standing back there, and then one of the guys who had played the gig before, he said, "Man, you got to get ready. I hope it happens during our break. The Tinkerbell
Come
crashed into
flying
the,
through.
yeah, the crash into the landing tower." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "See that tower up there with the 10 king size mattresses in it? She's on a
Oh,
wire, and she's gonna go screaming down that thing at 100 miles an hour and smack right into the
oh my God.
mattresses, and then she's
Is
gonna
that,
collapse on the ground." I
oh
thought,
my God.
well, there's a backline story for you, a support team thing, because they've got guys up there, and they're holding the mattresses and
Every
at
time,
that
every
wire,
night.
she could come
Yeah.
down. But you know what I would love, Sangeeta, is if you could just take over Disneyland one night.
I would love to take over Disneyland.
I think,
I would love that. Thank you for planting the seed.
yeah, I think I'm gonna next time I see Hi, I'm gonna have to like pitch the idea and see.
You
Now,
know, I hear where you're going at, and I think it's funny, and I'm like, why the heck not? But I do. I love the visual experiences in production, and I love producing these. And my number one is always thinking about the experience of the audience. The music is so beautiful. You spend so much time on this music, and it's so connected to all of our hearts, and we want others to experience it as we would. And I love visual content. I love visual aspect. I love immersive. I love interactive. And, I really was hoping to have this huge immersive tour for Aurora because I feel like the music belongs there.
yeah,
But it's challenging. It's very costly to do things like that. And
right.
so we really make the best out of it to give the audience the greatest experience that we possibly can.
Well, I know it's going to be
It's
great.
it's transformative and it's our
Yeah.
responsibility, you know.
I mean, I'm going to talk to Ricky Cage about this, and I'm going to say, look, man, you've got this worldwide police without borders thing. I think Sangeeta needs her own balloon, hot air balloon, and her own airplanes. Please talk to the government of India so she can.
Will you pass the message on, really?
Yeah, you know
Thanks,
what?
Ricky.
Hey, Ricky, how's it going, man? I mean, he's so crushing it in the Grammy
Yeah.
world and every other world. He's another one of those people. I look at the schedule, I'm like, man, I hope that guy is meditating like Sangeeta because I don't know how he stays awake.
Yeah, I mean, it's very impressive. I just had this conversation with someone, but I really don't know anyone who works as hard as Ricky. Like, I work really hard, my team works really hard, but I also like need to find time, downtime and balance. And Ricky's in a place that he's just gung ho and he's giving it his all. And it's really,
It's
impressive and
impressive.
admirable. And it just takes a lot of human and your crew to be able to do that. So
Now,
applaud to him.
sorry to interrupt, but I don't want to run out of time before you explain to me how to say the
Yes.
title of this song on your album, which is my second most favorite one. It's the um on
Is
my
it,
YouTube playlist, it's the closer. It's called
yes.
Tva Miva Mata.
Tua meva mata.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my
Yes.
pronunciation,
It's
I
okay.
know how to say taco and enchilada, but I don't know how to say
That's
this.
that's how it's spelled phonetically in Sanskrit. But
Oh,
then
it's Sanskrit.
yes, and but then when you actually pronounce it, the V turns into more of like a W. So it's Twameva Mata. And this one was really beautiful. I always love adding a couple of mantras into the album, and I always close with one because I feel like all that music that we do, it's channeled music, it comes from source, our higher self. And I want to bow and honor that at the end of the album as a bow of gratitude to our teachers and our guides and angels. And so it's always a thank you to our angels. And that mantra itself, I didn't choose that one for this album, but my producer, Sridhar Solanki, he one day just started singing it and he had recorded it over one of our beds of music. And he said, can we use this? And he said, my mom used to sing this to me when I was a
Wow.
child. And so it's ingrained in me. And I would love if we can actually just have this on me. I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like, I think it's the most important and beautiful thing when everyone wants to put that life experience into the work. That is so beautiful. And so it was an honor to be able to do that. It's really honoring Sridhar's mother and his experience of that. I think
You
it's really
know, there
beautiful.
every day in the world should be Mother's Day, every single
It
day.
should be every day.
Every day, because my mom was so nurturing and so helpful, and she would get me through so much stuff. And the thing that she passed along was her version of the cosmos, which was
She
Christianity,
did. Oh yeah.
and
That's beautiful.
also the love for music as a way to cope with all the stuff that comes into your world. Because people ask me, how did you do so many albums? And I said, I had a really awful life. And
Mm.
they go, what do you mean you had an awful life? And I said, well, every album is born out of some sort of traumatic experience. And I go to the
Yeah.
piano to feel the spiritual energy and recenter myself. And that's what I
Yeah.
write about.
That's so beautiful. See, I love that. I love that. I love the fact that your music comes from it's the trauma, but it's the revelation that comes from the trauma too. It's
Yeah.
like the learning that comes from it. And I think that's a really powerful way of expressing through music, and just a way of expressing music in general. Because so many times we hear music that, no offense, but sometimes it feels like a lot of purging, and it's okay to purge. But I feel like music is such a connection to God and source and the universe, like that there's another message behind it. So if we can live with our pain, our suffering, our trauma, and then listen to what the teaching is and what the learning is, and let that be the music. And so that everyone who's listening to it can actually have something that they can relate with, but heal with as well. I think it's such a tool, and if we can see it more like that, the music will change and shift and be very beneficial.
Well, when you put out music that's like this, it's amazing the incredible effects that it has in ways that you don't even know, especially with the
Yeah.
internet now.
Yes.
Because I remember on some of my early albums, which believe it or not, were all in LP and cassette,
I
people
love
would go into
it.
a record store and they would buy Rob Mullen's Soulscape, Rob Mullen's Night Street, and then they would have to go to a phone book to
And
see.
find the record
And,
store.
yeah, and then and we were all using PO boxes in those days instead of email, and then eventually I'd get like a handwritten letter or something from
Yeah.
a medical center. Like this one guy from Swedish Medical Center wrote me a letter and he said, would you come down to the hospital and sign this album, and we're using it for cancer treatment.
That's amazing.
And I just thought, wow, that's really, because that wasn't I didn't set out with that idea. I just wanted to express, the energy that I was feeling. And it ended up being this like thing that helped people get through cancer, which is really super cool. And I know your music
Yeah.
has that aspect to it.
Yeah, and a part of it is exactly that, though. It's like we put the intention and that energy into the music, and then we just have to let it go. And we can't really think about, oh my God, is anyone listening to it? Is this even of use on this planet? And
Right.
you just never know, because that one person,
Right.
that it saved their life, or it just made them come out of something really awful in their lives, it's so worth it.
It
If we
totally
were
is.
if we were born to make music for just that one person to overcome something very drastic.
And I'm going to say in old school Oklahoma, amen, sister.
Amen, brother.
Yeah, right on, baby. So we're just about out of time, but
Oh
if you would
no.
be if you would be so kind,
Yes.
can you say just like a little greeting, a very short one in Vietnamese to all your friends in Vietnam? Because I still have
Yeah.
friends there. So just in Vietnamese, just say something real quick.
Uh, Xin chào các bạn ở bên Việt Nam. Sangeeta rất là vui để có cơ hội để nói chuyện với bạn bè hôm nay với lại anh Rob Mullen.
All right, folks. Well, my guest today has been the fantastic Sangeeta Kaur. She's got a brand new album out called Aurora. She'll be performing at the Grammy Museum in downtown Los Angeles on September 20th. You can,
As well as Wonder Spaces in Austin on
yes.
September 26th. It's an interactive, immersive space. Super
Ooh,
excited. We're using one of
two
the artists,
concerts.
2 concerts. One of the artists' installation, her name is Rejane Cantoni from Brazil. And we've been given access to use her installation as our stage. And it's going to be so cool. Yeah.
You can find all of Sangeeta's tour schedule, her albums, other interviews at her website, sangeetacar.com. Tickets are available.
GuitarMusic.com. Yeah.
Yep. And tickets are available for both of these shows right now. So snap them up because that Grammy rooftop isn't that big.
No, it's not. And we're
It's,
going to probably cap it maybe at 200 so
okay.
that everyone's comfortable. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm sorry to have to do this, but
It's okay.
thanks
Thank you
again for
so
coming
much for
on,
having
Sangeeta.
me.
And
Thank
you
you.
know, I know Danae is outside knocking on your door saying, "Please let me sing. Please let me
Let-
write for the next album." And Gila's out there saying, "Hey, where's my song?"
We are. Don't worry, it's coming.
Okay,
It's
great.
coming.
All right,
Thank you so
folks.
much.
Thank you so
Much
much,
love to
Sangeeta.
everyone out there. Thank you, Rod.
See you next time.
See you next time.